Hello, everyone. Good evening from wherever you are hearing me from. My name is Benga. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. I'm a Microsoft MVP, and I'm also a Microsoft certified Power BI data analyst associate. This is my first video after being awarded the Microsoft MVP. Now, today I'll be talking to you about role level security. I know it's a very popular topic in Power BI, but a lot of people need to understand what is role level security, especially static row level security. Now, there are two major types of row level security in Power BI. We have the static row level security and we have the dynamic row level security. We all know that in a data-driven world and in the era of AI, data privacy, data protection is very important. This is something that stakeholders don't joke with, especially whether in a medium-sized organization or a small organization or a large organization or corporations in general. Data protection, data security is very important. Now, Power BI gives us that opportunity, that flexibility, that platform for us to restrict data access. That is, we are restricting who is seeing what. Now, let's start with the definition of a static row level security. So you might see me use the word RLS, RLS. That is just the abbreviation for row level security, because I don't want to be saying it out like all the time. So if I say RLS, you know what I'm talking about is row level security. So static RLS is a method of restricting data access at the row level. I know, and I'm sure that people that are listening to me now, they understand what a row means, right? Row column, right? And when we say row, we're talking about from left to the right? Information from the left to the right or the right to the left. If we say column, it means information from up down or down up, right? So when we mean row, we mean your tables, the tables that you have in your data model, in your Power BI data model, right? That is, they contain information at a row by row level, right? So when we restrict data access at the row level based on predefined rules, so when we say predefined rules, what we are saying is that we are the ones that are going to define the rules, right? We are going to be the one to say, for example, we create a role and we say the role is equals to West. It means that for everybody in that role, they are going to see only information that are related to West, right? Uh, that don't change at runtime. Okay. Now let's take a look at the use case of static row level security in Power BI. It's ideal when user roles and access roles are stable, right? This is static row level security, right? Is very ideal when the user roles. That means changes don't really happen to people or to users in an organization. It means that somebody can be in a particular position or a particular department or given some certain level of privileges or certain level of access, and that doesn't change for for a quite number of time. So we can say that level security, that means the static RLS, is ideal when the rules doesn't really change from time to time, right? For configuration of static row level security, we define the rules in Power BI desktop using DAX filters, right, in our manage row dialog. I'm still going to show you guys that. I'm still going to show you guys what that means. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, what are some of the merits of using static row level security? I talked about the fact that there are two types. There is the dynamic and there is static, right? Now, static is very simple to implement. It's very simple. It's very easy to implement in when you have a small team. This maybe in a small, medium enterprise organization. That is, they don't really have much of large users that are going to be viewing the data or that are going to be viewing the reports. So it's very easy to implement when you have a small team. In terms of performance, right, there is minimal overhead. It means that for the Power BI administrator or for the Power BI developer that is developing these reports, right, there is a minimal overhead. It means that the work they have to do uh, to set up static row level security is very minimal compared to dynamic row level security. So for dynamic row level security, sometimes it might be a little complex, and sometimes there's a lot of complexities that comes with it. It's not sometimes very straightforward. And sometimes you also need like a lookup table that has a list of the different users and that also will talk about their roles, right? Now, for control, it's easy to control row level security because there's a centralized control, that is no dependence on a user profile tables or external sources. It means that you don't have to have like a table that has a list of different people with their emails, with their position, who are they reporting to, and all of that. You do that in dynamic RLS, but for static RLS, the control is centralized, right? Then transparency, the rules are visible and editable in Power BI desktop. So these are some of the merits of static row level security. Now, let's talk about, because for everything that has merit, right, there are also demerits. It means that for everything that has advantage, there's also some disadvantage to it, right? So let's talk about some of the demerits of a static row level security. Number one is scalability limitations. It means that static RLS is not really ideal for large enterprises. That is, enterprises that have large users, that has many users that are frequently changing their roles. You understand what I'm saying? So there are some users that frequently, so in very big organizations, roles evolve, people change roles. I mean, maybe the context of their work changes, or maybe the department they work, or maybe even within their department, or maybe they even move to outside, maybe they are assigned assignment outside of their location. Different kind of things happen in very fast-paced environments or large organizations, right? And static RLS is not really ideal for environments where you have many users and there are frequently changing rules. Maintenance overhead. So the problem with static RLS is that when you make any change, you have to republish the model from Power BI desktop from time to time. So anytime you want to probably edit a role, maybe you've already defined a role before and you need to maybe streamline the role down to something, you need to always come to your Power BI desktop, make the changes and republish at all times. So the maintenance overhead is sometimes, stressful. User management. Uh, it's very difficult, to manage when users share different access names. So uh, let me explain what that means. So imagine a situation whereby a user that different users they have different access names. So let me explain that in a way that you understand. So imagine a user needing to see maybe A, C, and F. Another user needs to see A, B, and D. So you are going to be creating different rules for different users at all times. So it's not easy to manage users, especially when users need to see different things. There's a lot of requests for different users, and users are not saying the same thing. And sometimes it might be a little bit worrisome and stressful for the report developer. So it's difficult to manage, right? When you have a lot of users with different needs and they need to be placed in different roles, right? Now, another demerit is hard coding, right? Now, the access rules are embedded into the model, reducing flexibility. That is that we predefine the role, we, we, you maybe write DAX to filter down the information that needs to be accessed, and it's not the flexibility reduces because we are always embedding. It's like we are hard coding something, right? When we hard code, you know what that means? It means that it's not dynamic, right? You have to embed the access rules. That is the role that you are defining. You have to always embed it inside of the model. Now, it's something that is very interesting, which is the security groups. But if you are getting security groups for the first time, security groups work with static row level security. Security groups is when, so imagine you see something like this in your place of work. You see something like finance at xyz.com, right? So in that security group, that email is called a security group, for example. It means that everybody in finance, instead of maybe you want to send an email to everybody in finance, instead of having to copy their email manually one by one, you will just use the security group email and you see something like finance at xyz.com, something like procurement at xyz.com, something like sales at xyz.com, right? So when you input the security group, then the email gets to everybody that is attached or that has been added to that security group. So you might send that security group like finance managers at xyz.com. So that one might be different. That one might be for just the directors and all the managers in finance. It will be different from the finance at xyz.com, right? Because that one is for general everybody in finance. But when it's something like finance managers or finance directors at xyz.com, that is an email, a security group that groups all the managers or finance directors in the finance department, something like that, right? And they are Azure Active Directory groups. They are used to manage, shared access nets. So if for example you want the finance managers to see a particular you want to restrict their data access to maybe the report for only their department, for example, you can do that. You can do that by when you first create the role, when you create the role rather in your Power BI desktop, when you publish your reports to Power BI service, then I'm going to show you how you can go to the settings part and start adding people to the email. Sorry, to the role that has been created, right? So that is that. Now, for security groups, there are different types. There's the mail-enabled security group. There's the Office 365 groups or the standard Azure Active Directory security groups, right? So what is the best practice when using security groups with static row-level security? I told you that for security groups different people together, different users together, right? So you can create a role in your Power BI desktop and you assign that role to a Azure Active Directory security group instead of adding individual to that role. Instead of adding individual like one by one. So it means that if you have 30 people, you have to start adding their emails one by one. But if you assign the role to an AAD security group, then that is like the best practice because people are already grouped in that security group. Different individuals, different users have already been grouped in that security group, and you can just assign the role to that security group. So it captures everyone in that security group, right? Now, what is the process when it comes to working with security group? I mean, for static role level security, right? So you define the roles in Power BI desktop. For example, you say regional manager with a dark filter like region is equals to West. Now you publish it to Power BI service and you assign the security group to the roles via the security settings of the data sets. I'm still going to show you that in practical. So the advantage of this is that it gets the simplicity of static RLS combined with the administrative power of security groups. So imagine that you combine the simplicity of creating static RLS, you combine that with the administrative power of security group. It means that you're combining two things together. So static RLS is simple to implement, and now with security groups, it makes it very easy to manage it administratively, right? So all users in the West Manager. So imagine you have a security group called West Managers, and it contains all the sales managers that are making sales in the West, all right, assigned to the West part of the country. Then you can just assign the role level security. I mean the role created in Power BI Desktop. You can assign the role to that security group, and everybody in that group will be seeing they have the same level of access to the data or the reports, right? So that is that. Now, why are security groups? So instead of adding individual email manually, so why are security groups better for large user management? So for companies that maybe you are creating static row level security instead of dynamic, it's easier to maintain if you are assigning to a security group. It's easier to maintain because it will be done from the Azure Active Directory part. So it's easier. So you don't need to always come to your Power BI desktop to adjust, your rules, right? It's reduced admin overhead, consistent access control, it's scalable, and it's audit friendly, right? So guys, let me now go to Power BI desktop. And I'm going to now show you how you can create static role level security. It's very simple, it's very easy to implement. And I'm also going to go to Power BI service and I'm going to show you how you can assign users to a particular role. So first thing that we do is to create the role, right? So what we do to do that, we are going to go to modeling in our menu item here, we go to modeling, and you are going to go to manage roles. You are going to go to manage roles, right? And I already have a role here. Let me just come here and delete this one. Let me come here and delete, and let me create a new one from the scratch. So you come to modeling, you come to manage roles, and you click on new. But before we do that, let me close this. Let me close this. Let me close this. Don't save anything yet. And I'm going to go back to my tables, and I'm going to go look at something. So we have different ship modes. We have the standard class, the second class, the first class on the same day. Let's go to the geography table and see what we have in the geography table. All we have there is postal code, and it seems like a lot of data. A lot of postal code. We don't have like a country or region or stuff like that. So let me just create something as an example so that you can see. Oh, we have segments. Let's look at what we have in segment. Oh, nice. So in segments, we have consumer, corporate, and home office. So now let's assume now that we have three different managers, and they are in charge of the sales in different segments. We have the consumer segment, we have the corporate segment, and we have the home office segment, right? So let's go and create our role now based on segments, right? So I'm going to come here, and I'm going to go back to my manage role, and I will, oh my God, why do I keep having this here? Oh, I didn't save it the other time. Okay, no problem. So I'll click on new here, right? And I'm going to sorry, I said, let me rename this, and I'm going to rename it to consumer, right? So I will go to my, so after doing that, the next thing I'll do is to select tables, and I'm going to go to my segment table here, and I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to, I'm coming, guys. Okay, I'm going to click on new here, right? Oh, I'm going to click on new. Sorry, I thought maybe when I right click here, it was going to bring out something for me, but it isn't bringing that. So let me just leave that. Segments, I'm going to click on segments. When segment is equals to consumer, right? When segment is equals to what? Consumer. You see some other options here. It does not equal greater than blah blah blah, right? But what I need is segment is equals to consumer. So it means that when I create this role and I publish it to Power BI service, if I add people to this role in my Power BI service, they are only going to see sales as related to only consumer, right? That means every manager that is in consumer will be assigned to the consumer role, and they will only be restricted to the data that relates to consumer, right? So I can click on switch. If I don't want to do it here, I can click on switch to DAX editor, and it will give me the DAX expression. Segments is equals to consumer, and I'm going to click on save, and I'm going to click on save. So I've created that row. Now let's go and test out this row now. So let me close this one. And I'm going to go to, when I wanted to create a role, I went to manage roles, right? Now to view the role, I'm going to click on viewers, and I'm going to click on consumer. That is a role that I just created now, consumer. So you will see none and other user there by default, right? So just leave that and click on consumer, and I'm going to click on OK. And you see that all my report now has changed, has been filtered down to only consumer. If you see now the upper part here, you will see now viewing as consumer. So you see that all my reports, the numbers have reduced. They have been filtered down to only consumer, right? If I click on stop viewing, the numbers go back to what it was. But if I come here again and I view as consumer, which is I'm testing out the role that I created to see how it is performing, right? And you see that all the charts here, they are being filtered down to the segment called consumer. So now let me stop viewing. Let me create another role. So let me go back to my table again. I have another one, corporate. So let me go and create another role. I'll click on viewers. Oh, sorry, I'll click on manage role, sorry. And I'll click on new. And I will name this one as corporate. Corporate. Oh, sorry, let me spell it well. Corporate, right? And I'll go to segments. I'm going to click on segments. I'm going to click on new here. And it's going to be when segment is equals to corporate. Corporate. Oh my. I just say corporate, right? When segment is equals to corporate, right? And I'm going to click on save, right? So I have two rows created here now, consumer role and the corporate role. And I'm going to come to view as again, and I'm going to view as corporate this time. I'm going to click on OK, and all the charts that I have here has been filtered down to only data related to corporate segments. You see how interesting static RLS is? It's very simple to implement. Now, after I've created it, let me stop viewing. After I've created this, the next thing is I'm going to publish this. But before I do that, let me go to my Power BI service. So I'm in my Power BI service now. And if I go to my workspaces, I have two workspaces here. Let me click on this first workspace. Okay, I already have some reports here. Oh, good. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to now publish that report, right, in this workspace, right? So I'll go back to my Power BI desktop, and I'm going to go to my own in the menu item, and I'm going to click on publish. And do you want to save changes? Save changes, and you wait for a few seconds to show the workspaces, and I click on first workspace, the one I just opened the Power BI service now, and I'm going to click on select, and it's publishing this report to that workspace. Interesting. Oh, only users with certain Power BI licenses can publish this. Oh, my license is now pro, and that workspace was created when it was premium. So what I'm going to do now, let me go back and create a new workspace. So I'm going to go to workspaces and create a new workspace, and I'll call this workspace, let me call it RLS workspace. RLS workspace. No paparazzi, just click on apply. Click on apply. So I have an empty workspace now. Then I can go back again and publish now. And I'm going to publish to the RLS workspace, and I click on select, and I wait for a few seconds, and it's going to publish this report to the newly created RLS workspace. So they're just successful. Now I click on GOTS, and I'm going to go back to my Power BI service. I'm going to refresh this, and I'm going to see two items that we all see, right? Which is the semantic model and the report itself. So I have the two here now, right? So for me to now assign, so when I created that role, the consumer and the corporate, automatically nobody is in that role yet, right? Nobody is in that role yet. So I have to assign people to the role. So I'm going to go to the semantic model here and click on these three dots, and I'm going to see security. Yeah, this is it here. I'm going to see security. I'm going to click on security, right? Now you see that the two rows I created in Power BI desktop, the two rows are here, right? The two rows are what? They are here, right? Let's say I want to add somebody now. For example, let's say I want to add somebody that is within my tenants. Just hold on. Let me go and look for somebody's email. I'm going to say, so hold on, guys. Just give me a few seconds. Let me go and copy the email. Okay, I have the email here, right? And I assign this person to. Oh, so now I want to tell you guys something. Unless there's a settings done at the admin level or at the Microsoft 365 admin center, you might not be able to have somebody from outside of your tenants, right? Outside of your, your organization. So you see that now that I try to have somebody outside of my organization, it's telling me that one or more email address to the following domains are outside of my organization. So it's probably not going to allow me to add somebody outside of my organization, right? So let me just, I'm coming, yeah, these are people that are in my tenants. So let's say I just pick somebody randomly from here, and I just, let me pick this guy, right? And I can add them. Now, the overhead part is very stressful. Since I have to now have to probably add people one by one. So imagine now I have to add them one after the other, right? Now that is why I talked about security group the other time. That if you have security group, right, an email enabled security group, a mail enabled security group, you are going to have that chance to just, instead of typing the emails here one by one, you are going to just copy and paste the security group here, right? The email, the finance at xyz.com that I gave you an example of. And everybody that is in that security group will be added once because in they are all grouped inside a security group, right? And with that, everybody that is in that security group will have the same level of access, according to the context of this role that was created, right? So that is how you can create static role level security. So when you define the rules inside of your Power BI desktop, I said segment is equals to corporate, segment is equals to consumer, and I come to my Power BI service and I click on the uh, three dots, and I click on security, and I come here, I see row level security here, and I see the two rows I created. Now, that is one of the issues with static RLS, because if you want to create a new row, and you want your Power BI service to have the updates, you have to always go back to your Power BI desktop at all times, create the new row, and always come here. You always need to be republishing at all times and adding people again in the security part here for the updates to be done, right? So that is the overhead and the stressful part of static row level security. But with security groups, it makes it very easy to implement. It removes the stress of having to copy people's email one by one and adding them to the different roles that have been created. So, guys, I have come to the end of my video today. Thank you so much for staying by. Please don't forget to like this video, share this video, and if you've been enjoying Power BI videos and you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe, and more advanced, interesting Power BI content are coming your way. Thank you, guys. God bless you. Have a lovely week.